Obviously, I couldn't remember when that actually returned. Welcome back to the Drive-In Asylum double feature for our second segment, and we have lots to talk about, starting with Lila, Mantis in Lace. We're really interested to know what everyone thought. Chris, or AC Nicholas.
Yes.
I don't know why I keep calling you Chris. I'm sorry.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah. I don't know if everyone's going to be happy that you suggested this or not. This is a tense moment.
No, although my friend Robert says it had some Lynchian moments, to be kind. The cops reminded me of Forster and Briscoe from Mulholland Drive. Or is that too much of a reach? Probably. But the cops were kind of goofball. Funnier than Jalo cops.
Bill questioned during this where she lives. Does anybody else come into this warehouse? Does anyone else work here? Like, does anyone notice the giant piles of blood?
Well, at the end, remember, I'm stepping in something. It's sticky.
Yeah,
It's blood.
Yeah, there would have had to have been a ton of blood all over that place, and there would have been flies. It would have stunk.
Stunk.
I
Oh,
mean, she was, and where was she cleaning up at? This was a warehouse. Was there running water? Was there
yeah.
a
I
bathroom?
yeah.
didn't see a sink. But
Yeah.
Frank brought up he would have tipped generously for someone to squeegee the mirror. As someone who did all the windows in our house yesterday with the squeegee, I thought of that the whole time. I'm like, God, like someone needs to clean this back mirror. It was
yeah,
filthy. This movie is filthy, and a lot of the bars seemed very nautically themed strip clubs. That one bartender had he looked like he had like a sailor type sweater on. A lot of strip clubs too, and obviously they were on the Sunset Strip, and they were just like a lot of go-go clubs. And one even advertised LSD night.
Yeah.
Maybe something you don't want to tell people about.
You shouldn't talk about it on your sign, you know?
no. After all, as they said in Lila, it's an illegal drug.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. One of my favorite scenes in The Magic Garden of Stanley Sweetheart is when they go to that freak out that Michael Greer is performing in a warehouse, the one where Candy Darling appears during one of those sequences. But was one of the cast members, Linda Gillen, actually is wearing a ring, and it has something in it, and she gives some of it to everybody, and they start freaking out. So I guess it was acid. And there's a great scene where, like, after they're all tripping, someone cuts their hand, and there's blood all over the place, and everyone starts screaming, and like they're like getting the blood on everybody. It's like this freak out. That's how I envision an LSD trip, because I've never done LSD, so I really don't know.
In
But
this movie, apparently you see a guy with bananas and money or something, and you cut a lot of fruit up too.
I agree with Beth. Pre-DNA police work was really hard. You're like, well, here's a giant pile of blood. Okay.
Yeah, right.
Also, like the cop that just leapt over the dead body at the end. Like he didn't even like walk around it. He just did a little skip over it when they went to get her at the end. They're like, hold on, and he just did a little whoop over top of her. That was it.
strange police work. And
Yeah.
what did you point out that they fire on him, and she's standing right next to him at the end of the movie? Like they're
Yeah.
firing.
They're there to protect her, so let's shoot right at her. My favorite part of the movie, Bill, though, is that once in the Sunset Strip, there are a lot of clubs that it went from being go-go clubs to being metal clubs in the 80s, including Gazzari's, which if you've seen Decline of Western Civilization 2, it's a pretty famous club. It's where Van Halen got started. And they used to have the Gazzari girls, which it still had its go-go roots of like girls would come and dance there and be awarded a title.
Maybe that's where they got the inspiration for Hot for Teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but don't you just love the narrative arc that Lila had in this movie? It's right out of the classic, like Sid Field screenplay. No, it's not out of Sid Field's book, because the whole movie is bump and grind, sex. Lila has a flashback, kills the guy, dumb cops. Repeat, 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 and it's over.
I'm not a forensic pathologist, but I watch a lot of true crime thanks to my wife. I can't imagine her to have the strength to carry that box filled with a large mail and leave it on like the side of a mountain.
Yeah.
Where they find it. Like, how is this done?
Yeah, with its
LSD?
arms sticking out. Yeah, I mean,
it's LSD. If you believe
Have an
you are that
LSD
strong,
strain.
you're that strong.
and the great police work is they're going to run down who manufactured this common, ordinary corrugated box.
Yeah.
I think that was
Great
way
police
beyond
work.
their potential.
Yeah.
I'm glad I didn't buy bananas at Walmart last night and opted for nectarines instead, because I don't think I'd be able to eat them at this point.
It's just so bizarre. I mean, it's definitely a time capsule of that era, but the psychedelic scenes are amazing.
Their office looked more like where you go to ask for a loan at the bank than a police.
Oh yeah, it didn't look like a police station at all.
Becca said that the scenes in the police station seemed like they were shot 10 years before the rest of the movie. Everybody looks like 50s old. You know, people in the 50s that were in their 20s for some reason looked like they were in their 60s. That's what all those cop scenes felt like. They were old cops.
Yeah, what gets me about the movie too is there's a lot of nudity in it. I mean, like wall to wall, every 15 minutes you got the go-go scenes. And that just seems weird for the era, 1968. I mean, as you guys said in the first segment, we were talking about the history of these movies. Until the Supreme Court case, you had Deep Throat and The Devil and Miss Jones, and then the sort of porn chic movies like Emmanuel, Joys of a Woman, and Story of O. I mean, this thing has a lot of nudity for 1968.
Amazingly, they shot it in LA, and those were the best go-go dancers they could find for it. Like some of the go-go dancing is literally like girls going, I just don't know. It's just like thumb. Like it was like just like and
yeah, do I move my stomach back and forth? How's this go?
Yeah, there was like a belly dancing exhibition that was not sexy at all, yet guys were like, Bill asked me, like, are you supposed to do that? You're supposed to hoot and holler and just clap when you yeah, that's it. That's all.
It was like a sound effects record on repeat. It was the same cheering and shouting over and over again. You could even hear some of the phrases that they were saying over and over
again. Watermelon.
Yeah. And how do we love that song? Lila. And it has MANTIS IN LACE as one of the lyrics, though.
The best job in this movie was the blood wrangler, whoever was off camera throwing buckets of blood at her. Like they're not even spraying like real
no.
Blood. There's someone just whipping buckets at her.
What part of the body did that come from? I don't even think your jugular vein would gush like that.
Yeah, he was throwing up blood all over her, like projectile vomiting blood on her as he was being stabbed. And then, like, literally within the same shot, she's completely clean right after it.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of like Dragnet.
Yeah. Except no girls jumped out the window thinking they could fly. That's a Dragnet.
Diane Linkletter.
Yeah, exactly.
The Diane Linkletter story. But, yeah, sort of a really bizarre movie. We're talking about Ruffies, but you can see, though, that basically if you take out the murders, you have an old nudie cutie. You just basically have a strip film.
Yeah.
But the people who produced it decided, well, we have to give our grindhouse audience something more, our drive-in audience more. So they have that violence with all that blood. I mean, for 68, that's like Herschel Gordon Lewis style blood.
Also, like, this is the kind of movie that when you watch it, you think that lovemaking is just the guy takes off his jacket and lays on a girl.
Yeah. And then they roll a little bit.
Yeah.
Adam Ant was the first one to go.
Oh.
He looked just like Adam Ant with the dangly earring and that ruffled shirt.
Yeah, and he was a hippie.
A hippie.
That hippie.
Have these guys ever seen a hippie?
No. One of Cartman's enemies.
You would think that in downtown LA they could drive and do a little research, but they're like, fuck it, we got this. We got this.
Yeah, we're looking at the boxes.
Yeah, they did a lot of research into corrugated cardboard and the way that it works. They did the same research the cops did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, some of that stuff is actually pretty funny, and I think it's intentional. I think Rotzler, the director, he probably just threw that in there for shits and giggles.
It does have a sense of humor.
Star Trek books, too, the Star Trek photo novels and the tie-ins.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he did, because as I said, he won some Hugo Award.
Yeah.
Amazing. Just amazing film. I mean, who would dream this up? Somebody who took acid.
Yeah.
You're going to do a movie.
It had to be said, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's filmed pretty well, even the crummy print that is up on YouTube. Kovacs does a nice job, at least for trying to frame.
I like the crummy print on YouTube.
Yeah,
I like all those scratches.
Yeah, it makes it look like real Grindhouse. But I mean, he filmed it kind of like he was shooting, a European art film. You got shots between guys' legs, shots up at strippers. of course, the crazy projections of the psychedelic stuff, which I loved for every one of the murders when she freaks
There's
out.
one really great edit where I think it's the second guy, the older guy gets killed, and he's stumbling around the wood paneling in that room, and it's cut with that doctor with the needle so that they're both like in the same place, but it's like stutter cutting between them.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was really well done. But yeah, and I gotta agree with Beth. Becca said the same thing. What is Lila's accent? Is it British?
We were talking about that before the show. What is it, Danish?
Yeah. She's like,
It was kind of like Dolly Reed Martin in Beyond the Valley of the Dolls.
Yeah.
Where she's a British woman trying to do an American accent. There was some sort of crossover going on there. And this did remind me of Beyond the Valley of the Dolls in a couple of ways.
This would be one of the movies that I'm saying Valley of the Dolls, though. In Valley of the Dolls, this would be one of the movies that one of those Italian art movies that she's gone over to Europe to make.
Russ Meyer would have done this movie a lot better, I have to say.
Oh, definitely. He would have made it faster and more fun and actually had a plot.
And there would have been it would have been all medium shots for the whole movie with like maybe 400 cuts.
Yeah.
It just blows me away when I watch one of his movies how many cuts there are in it and how it works. Like that should drive you nuts, but it doesn't to me. I mean, I guess some people could be bothered by that, but I love it. I think it's wonderful.
Well, he was a master editor in the Army of Army training films, so that's why they look so good, I think.
And the things that he manages to capture in those 3 seconds, it's like a bunch of 3-second shots. Like there's that one part in Beyond the Valley of the Dolls where Casey goes out and she goes through Z-Man's pool. It seems so strange to me. Like she's at a party and she wore clothes there, but she just takes her clothes off and goes through the pool with her hair up and she comes out the other side. But the way he cuts that together is just genius. It's so beautiful. But this movie, I'm not trying to take anything away from MANTIS in Lace because I did think it was pretty arty. It was nice to look at.
It was one of those art films, Bill, that I saw at the art theater at the Ohio Follies. I got there at 10:45 and there were a bunch of dudes outside milling around, and I tried to keep my distance, and we watched it from 11 to 2 a.m.
Yeah,
and it was good. I'll tell my mom tomorrow. I went to the art cinema last night. Well, I'm split between 3 screens.
Oops, what happened?
Like the outer limits here. I'm like,
something changed.
Trisected.
I'm gonna fire the producers. I swear to God.
Oh, look at this.
I made all these overlays brand new, by the way.
This is my favorite one, and I like being inside the astronaut helmet. I feel like I made the right thing. Paul asked, do we know why she was killing? No.
No.
We don't need motivation. She's killing.
It wasn't that kind of movie. You just kind of went with it. Like I said, it just ends. You think there's going to be some kind of exposition or they're going to show that they didn't even know she did it.
Becca just said she got mad because someone said all her stage dancing looked the same. She didn't change it up. They didn't even know she did it. Like she was dancing, so who knows?
They were taking her away, and they didn't even know that she was the killer because they thought she was just freaking out, and she felt threatened or so. They said it briefly. It like flitted by.
Did you say that she freaked out very, very badly on acid?
Just lately, she freaked out, and she was just screaming and. They just didn't understand she was the killer, so she could still be out there doing this today.
My favorite move that she did was she was dancing on stage at one point, and she did like a pec flex where she went like this, and an old guy's eyes literally went, pooh, and he was like, oh, my eyes. Like she short-circuited him like a Tex Avery cartoon.
Yeah. Well, there was a lot of good shots in there, like stripper cam, from the viewpoint of the stripper going in on the audience and the guys leering and their eyes popping out.
I liked those. It was like the audience shot on the Lawrence Welk show. When they would pan out over the audience. That was kind of what they had going on there.
Nothing would make you least want to go be in that audience and seeing what that audience looks like from the stripper's point of view. It's just like, oh yeah, no, that's good. So yeah, John, I think it was the drug trip that unleashed her psychosis, and remembering that her father wanted her to eat her fruits and vegetables and she didn't. And yeah, that's how we got here.
It was very traumatic, and
maybe the banana Freudian, maybe, who knows?
You know, maybe she was like Ed Gein and she didn't understand the act of murder. Gein thought he was killing animals, not human beings. Maybe she was chopping up that fruit, you know?
Yeah. She's allergic to potassium, and she doesn't want to go through that again.
That one murder had a lot of stabs.
Yeah. I didn't know there was that much blood in the body at that point.
I don't think there is.
No.
They
dumped like a 50-gallon drum of stage blood on it. Tossed it over there.
They should have, today they would have just had super soakers and just be spraying her off camera with them. They would have just CGI'd her today.
Well, no, unless you're a big Hollywood film, then you'd have CGI blood.
Yeah. It was like the blood rave from Blade, but except it was coming horizontally instead of vertically. Yeah, it's funny because, you know, like the traditional things of movies, like the 3-act structure, or you know, there's really none of that. It's just like it's just like the same thing over and over again. But you got to respect that it does that. It's like, okay,
oh yeah,
it's doing its own thing. You know,
it's doing its own thing.
I was gonna say the second movie's gonna feel ordinary, but it doesn't. It's just as weird.
Oh, yeah. It actually has a character. Sort of, it has a story arc, but it like from another dimension.
Story arc,
like from another dimension. This is the one where where you can rattle off all the stuff you're going to see.
Yeah,
and it would be amazing. I'll save that for the third part.
It really feels like one of those movies I say that like aliens came to Earth and said we should make a movie for people, and they don't understand how humans act or talk, or behave, and like that was good, right? Like, sure.
I was impressed at the different ways that they found to cover up the lovemaking. There was the one scene where it pans over and you see it's like it was like a jar and a candle and a shelf. Mm-hmm.
It's very Austin Powers-y, covering it up.
Well, years ago, remember, they tried to issue, I think, an R-rated version of Last Tango in Paris. Yeah. And they wound up like superimposing lamps in front of the action, and you know what I'm saying, and I think you do, as Joe Bob would say. But wow. But no, I was going to say that, you know, I got the smoking jacket on, which would fit right in with the lead character, Mr. Bradley. Now, what is his accent? I want people to try to identify that. It's kind of British, or is it just posh, or is it he needs his adenoids out? I mean, he's a weird dude. You can't be prepared for Mr. Bradley.
Agreed.
And then his sister. We'll talk about that dynamic in part 3. But it's strange. It's a well-filmed movie. You know who's in it? A guy from Shriek of the Mutilated. Because they were both the guy who plays, you'll see, the handyman, Mr. Bradley, and his sister's handyman. Because the film was made in upstate New York.
Yeah, we're talking about the second feature, Behind Locked Doors.
Yeah, the second feature, Behind Locked Doors. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, anything else we want to finish out on Mantis?
Oh, yeah.
Lila
before we the gun here. I think we've put more discussion and analysis of Mantis and Lace than the makers intended.
Than the people who made it, yeah.
I think you're right. All right, so Behind Locked Doors, our second feature, another super low budget sex film, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Sort good. Of like
it's a roughie. No, it's a roughie for sure, because there's sex and there's violence and there's some other stuff. You'll see. There's some fetish stuff in here.
Human mannequins.
Yeah. I liked your review, Sam, what you said that at the end you just jumped up and yelled because it's so good, right?
Yeah. I wasn't ready for the end.
No, the end is amazing. In fact, people who follow exploitation films, in other words, all our friends in the chat here, will recognize that the ending is reused in a horror film much later. That's the only clue I'm going to give. Probably not intentionally, but you can see the analogy.
I've learned two things from tonight's movies. I've learned one: if someone invites you back to their warehouse and they need a candle to show you where they sleep, don't go. Just turn around, walk out. Even if that candle magically can light up the entire room, don't be impressed. Get out. And two, if you're lost in the woods and you happen on a large mansion, you don't need to go there. Just get your way back to the road. Get back, call AAA. Today you can call it over. Don't stay overnight.
No, don't stay overnight. Well, the folks will see who haven't seen Behind Locked Doors. And again, how many first-timers do we have? You'll see where they meet Mr. Bradley. And he's doing basically, I would say, a classic nudie cutie trope at the beginning of this movie. He's pretending to be a bird watcher. Yeah, so it's like a classic nudie cutie trope, and then it gets really twisted from there.
If you were using it in the British way, it would make sense of being a bird watcher.
Yeah. Well, yes, like something that Lindsay Shonteff would have directed for Tygon. I was listening to the video archives, and Shonteff would have done stuff like this in England a little bit later, like in the early 70s. Because it's the same kind of jump that you're going to see here in number 2.
This also reminds me of what's the Spanish director who did Edge of the Axe?
Larraz.
Larraz, like his early movies have this same kind of idea where there's we're wandering the woods and we find a house and crazy stuff happens, and here we are.
Yeah, the house that vanished. Yeah, you're right. It kind of looks like that in the beginning. There's a big house up on the hill. There's nothing for miles. Their car doesn't work.
Naturally.
And, you can stay for dinner and have a bed, but our phone doesn't work. So
yeah, that's right. The phone doesn't work. We've been calling about it. Doesn't work.
And how successful as a mortician do you have to be to retire? He doesn't seem that old, like Mr. Bradley. He's like, oh, we just retired. I live here with my sister.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're handyman. They're
it reminds me of the mansion in Unhinged. How they crash their car in the middle of what is supposed to be nowhere. They say it over and over again, there's nothing around here, and many people have been disappearing from this area. And then all of a sudden they find themselves in this luxurious, sort of luxurious mansion with very well kept house in the middle of nowhere. Literally, how are they doing this? Keeping this house up like this. So this reminds me.
That's why you have a handy. When you have your own handyman, that's when you know you've made it. When you, you know what I mean? That'll be the day when I have someone, we have someone that just lives here and just fixes stuff. I'll no longer have to do litter. We'll just send Igor down to do the litter. The other thing I love about this movie is it starts with a 20-minute party in a barn where there's go-go dancing. And I said in my review, I used to play, I grew up in very rural beginnings. Don't be fooled by the high-class world of Monongahela I live in now. But I grew up in a town where if you were in a band, you probably practiced in a barn. And every barn I practiced in smelled like shit. I can't imagine being aroused or excited by go-go dancing in a shit-filled barn. Do you know what I mean? It's very upsetting.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, Sam, because you will see 15 minutes at least of dancing in a barn. If you can make it past that, then it gets really weird.
It's weird because the padding usually happens midway through a movie. And this movie's padded before the movie even begun. It's pre-padded.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 10 minutes before they introduce Mr. Bradley. And, he's going to set the plot in motion because the girls are going to have to go stay at the big house.
Yeah, Tracy, I'm going to post the link to it on Facebook. So it's on YouTube as well.
This was directed by Charles Remine, who would go on to make Mysteries of the Gods for the Sun movie. As Bill would say, a movie filled with absolute bullshit. that would come out after this, and it was
What?
produced
He
and
went to find Noah's Ark. That's not bullshit.
that's what Bill loves those movies.
It's out there somewhere.
Yeah,
Right.
it's like it's. I guess this is Mount Ararat. I mean, we'll see. I love that there was a guy that literally took wood and dyed it with iced tea and barbecue sauce and sold it to NBC and told them it was part of Noah's Ark. And even when it was on the air, he was calling and telling them, like, you probably shouldn't put this on the air. Like, I did this. And they're like, no, we're good with it. But the other thing I thought was important is the producer and uncredited co-writer of our second movie is Stanley H. Braslov, who did Toys Are Not for Children, which is another movie that we discussed in between, which if you like these movies and you say, could you make one of these movies more upsetting and more reprehensible, that would be the one to watch. But it's good. And Arrow put it out. Why? I mean, awesome, right? But this has
good in our way.
Huh?
It's good in the way we say it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's also, I don't want to say too much about the secret room in this house, but when you get there, man, I don't know. At the end, there's a room destroying cat fight at the end of this. There's a fiery close, but you should really just go in like I did, where you're watching this and like by the end of it, you're like, what? And just be astounded by it. And I think that's really the right way to say it. I literally wrote at the end of my review, said, you might wonder throughout this while the barn dancing is happening. You guys said this was going to get weird. When's it going to get weird? Hold on. And then at the end, you'll say, I just can't believe that was an actual movie that people made. And it is. You're about to watch a real movie. It's not going to feel like it a couple of times, but I think that's the right way of doing it.
It's going to feel like a fever dream, for sure.
There's a reason why the next drink has so much alcohol in it, because you're going to need it. Like a safety blanket, a liquid safety blanket to get you through this movie. I was like, you know what could I jam the most ingredients into? There's a lot going on in this, but I'm ready for it again. 68, both movies are 68. Who knew that 1968 was so, I guess we all did. It was a pretty wild time.
And you know what? The acting by the young ladies in this movie is actually pretty good. In fact, the acting's pretty good by everybody compared to MANTIS in LACE. But then again, people were flubbing their lines.
There's only upward to go after from the acting in that movie. But at different sides. And this one was made in New York, you said?
Upstate New York, yeah.
Oh, wow.
All right. So, speaking of that drink, I think we should get to it. I want to run this segment a little earlier this time. So, we'll bring out the video, Sam.
Here I come.
Go, Sam.
This looks like a doozy.
It's a swinger party. We're swinging all these fruits and vegetables.
Whenever my husband comes up from downstairs with all sorts of jugs and it's going in the freezer, I get a little worried. What are we making?
This has got a lot of stuff. So we got 2 ounces of Absolute Citron, an ounce of Contro, an ounce of straight up real lime juice, 2 ounces of Hawaiian Punch, 2 ounces of orange juice, 2 ounces of pineapple juice, Dole only, please, in the can, and frozen fruit cocktail. These are the swingers that will get together and be loving it up behind locked doors in this swinger party drink. Pineapple, did you know, is the symbol of swingers? An upside down pineapple outside a hotel or someone's house means that they're open for swinging.
They're down to clown.
Yeah, my mom told me that. It's kind of upsetting person to find it out from. I don't think you want to find out that from your mom.
We've discussed it on the show before. Sam's hometown is home to a swingers club.
DJ Island, look for it.
Online.
My name. All right,
Look at the pictures online. You won't be disappointed.
They would serve this in the jungle room there. So we got.
Or else can you get a buffet and
carving stations.
a disease?
Carving stations. All right, so there's the alcohols in there. Let's put in this before it gets too messy. Oh my gosh, it's like the keys of a key party. All right, and then we got some Hawaiian
Our
Punch.
juice mixture.
Yeah. We get that in pretty high, and then let's top that off a little bit. You gotta add a little bit of
Lime.
A little lime. And that'll keep it on ice. We're going to put it in there, and we're going to make sure that we have a proper seal. Put the top on. Is it sealed? Yes. All right. Shake it up good, Dan. There's a lot in there. We're going to have a big drink tonight. We're going to have this big party tonight. Everybody's coming in, throw all their keys in the bowl, and they're like, I don't know who I'm going home with. I'm like, going home with the teacher. A lot of teachers in my hometown were swingers. I'm not going to say who because I don't feel like getting sued. Anyway, here we go. Pretty exciting. It's got a nice color.
Oh.
Look at that, swinger party. I'm gonna drink this like a sir. My friend shared a video this week of how to drink whiskey like a British gentleman, and it's not pretty. All right, let's take a sip. Pazuzu, this is wonderful. Get ready. This will really help you get through this movie because you're gonna need a lot of alcohol to get through it. It's good, but you're gonna need alcohol.
Was there music going on in that segment, Sam?
I don't think so.
I heard
Is
music
there
in the background.
Oh, this is really good, but boy, there's a lot of booze in here. Yeah, I'm going to need this. And I see, Sam, you picked the red Hawaiian punch.
Yeah.
Great minds think alike. Boy, this is tough. But I'll need this for my go at behind locked doors.
I have a weakness for Hawaiian Punch themed drinks lately. I don't know what it is.
Oh, okay.
It covers up stuff really well. It covers up high levels of alcohol really well.
And if you haven't made the drink, this one has high levels of alcohol.
Yeah.
Someone mentioned in the chat earlier, I think it was John, that this movie was originally released as Anybody, Anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
This was in November of '68.
Hey, there's Burlesque with a K again.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. A Beaver production.
Is that like the Starlight Drive-In, Star Lite, where Burlesque House is like Burlesque?
Gives away a little bit of the plot here. A search for the perfect physical love.
Mm-hmm.
I love that it also has like a very futuristic computer font.
And it says includes everything.
Yeah.
Well, you're gonna see pretty much everything.
Wow, I love this handwritten little 16 millimeter sound.
Yeah. Wow.
It's pretty stunning. I don't know. There's a lot of the porn stuff had that handwritten stuff. Handwritten.
Probably because they didn't have mats made for a lot of the stuff. They just had the poster, so they were just kind of, and different sizes or anything. So they were just doing with whatever they wanted.
It had a pretty long run as Anybody, Anyway, actually.
Yeah.
That one actually had scenes from the movie. It was 73 when it got reissued by Harry Novak as Behind Locked Doors.
There we go.
This teases the seller right away.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, it's her first birthday. Let's show this.
They're selling it as a horror film.
Yeah.
This was after Last House on the Left, keep in mind, 73. So they had to sell it as a horror. They got the idea to sell it as a horror film to make you think you were going to see something like Last House, probably.
Yeah.
This thing is so sleazy. I can't say that enough. If you guys suffered through the first one.
There's a scream in the streets. Someone mentioned a scream in the streets earlier.
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
Officer, they've got my wife.
A scream in the streets, a howl in the sheets.
And right after that, Diary of a Telephone Operator.
That's fascinating, isn't it?
It's behind locked doors, and there's a scream in the sheets, and then you got to go to the telephone operator.
All occupations will be reflected in tonight's show.
Yes, they will. Oh, Southwestern premiere. What was the terrifying secret of the cellar? And it's got Taste of Blood, a Lewis film.
Whoa.
Oh God.
That's an amazing night at the movies right there.
That'll blow your mind. I mean, that's a 2-hour Herschel Gordon Lewis film with this piece of whatever you want to call it. It's belched up from some alternate universe.
Whoa. They went all in on the lock on this.
Yeah.
Look at the
Hard.
last film, Slaughter Hotel.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's some hardcore Harry Novak there. Look at that lock.
I'm not sure what Mondo Erotica is.
It is. It's an actual Mondo.
Mondo film, yeah.
It is. I'm looking at. It's a. It's an Italian one by Filippo Rate.
Mhm.
Filippo Walter Rate, and it was edited into an American one. The subject is sex, but it's just it's an Italian Mondo.
Oh wow.
Sam, here's the Wrestling Queen,
Oh,
Vivian.
I have seen that. That's actually a really great movie, and it has a lot of women from that era.
Yeah,
That's a pretty good film, actually.
highly recommended.
Yes. By the way, Philip Ratti is also Peter Rush, is the other name he used, and he made Erica and Crazy Desires of a Murderer. In case you're wondering what Italian director that is.
I like this double feature, a PG and Behind Locked Doors.
Yeah.
This one's just the two of us.
Just the two of us.
An explicit.
Just the two of us.
It's a lesbian love story, and of course, Harry Novak was so proud of the fact that he reissued these movies. Harry Novak presents.
I read some review that I can't remember that said the critic thought every Harry Novak film had to have some lesbian content.
Well, I mean, most people would just put these out and not put their name on it, as if they were
Right.
giving you a master opus.
Yeah, but
And
you'll
he wanted-
see here, got the big signature. Harry Novak is his logo.
He was making himself a brand to sell these movies, so that was actually pretty,
Yeah,
I think that's
well,
cool.
like William Castle,
Mm-hmm. He wasn't
Well, it's-
pretending to be anything more than it was, I don't think.
No, his stuff. I'll tell you what. I was thinking about this when I was watching MANTIS in LACE. You had kind of a hierarchy back in the late '60s and early '70s of like small distributors. Like
Mhm.
I guess the platinum standard would be AIP, right? Maybe Avco Embassy too. They were
Look at
around even in the '60s.
Look at the co-feature for this one, Toys Are Not for Children.
That's my favorite, as I said, of the Harry Novak films. That one's really nuts. That's like a Tennessee Williams done as a drive-in exploitation.
Truly.
I mean, that one's disturbing as hell. If you haven't seen it, folks, in the chat, check it out. It's amazing. But anyway, you got AIP, and then what would you guys say would be the next tier of driving films? Crown International?
Yeah, Crown probably.
Because Crown was below AIP.
Yeah, I would say Crown was a little bit below AIP. They were a little less.
How about New World? New World would be probably on the Crown level, maybe a little higher.
Yeah.
But
New World, I think, was like way higher than Crown.
Yeah, I think you're right. But then the real bottom feeders would be like Joseph Brenner, Harry Novak, 21st Century, Brandon Chase, Group One.
Yeah.
Oh, Film Ventures International.
Yeah, FEI.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man, we're talking. These are bottom feeders in a lot of ways.
And Independent International.
Yeah. Sam Sherber, William Mishkin.
That's super low budget. Yeah.
Oh, that's like way down. Oh, Terry Levine, Aquarius.
Yeah.
Hallmark Releasing was an AIP subdivision, but they took
Yes,
stuff but it was more lowbrow than AIP. I could see why they were a thing, because the movies they were selling were a lot sleazier than the movies that were typically associated with AIP.
Well, yeah, AIP had that subsidiary label, Transamerican,
Yeah,
where they put out the like really sleazy stuff. Like I'm thinking, one of the Franco films, maybe Succubus, or one of them was a Transamerican. I do know that the Cronenberg film, They Came From Within, was a Transamerican.
yeah.
That was their like.
Don't get me
label.
started on They Came From Within, AC Nicholas.
Why is that, Bill? Then
Because I'm obsessed with those movies. If you get me started talking about them,
love those. I love those. I have a poster from the Canadian release that says the Parasite Murders on it, because I love Cronenberg stuff very much, and that was his first theatrical.
Look at this one. Notice anything different?
Behind the Locked Green Doors.
Oh,
Oh man, let's try to jump on the coattails of another porn film, right?
This was in 1975 or 74 in Canada.
Okay.
And check it out, Flesh Gordon, baby.
Oh, Flesh Gordon's fantastic. I mean, it really is. If you haven't seen it, they started out as a hardcore porn film, and they were having so much fun doing it that I think that they spent money in special effects. Oh, look at this.
Runaway Hormones.
Yeah. Oh, the amorous exploits of
Fungaluli.
Fungaluli, yeah. And then, of course, what was this terrifying secret of the cellar? Well, we're going to find out here in a little bit.
Okay, so here's another life that our film lived.
Okay.
As an X-rated cut called Then Came Ecstasy.
did they just do inserts for it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, they had to, because there's no hardcore footage here.
No.
I mean, it's a lot of twisted material, but
No, they just cut in some hardcore action and put it out as a legitimate X-rated film of that. This was the early 80s.
Wow.
I think 1981 was when this came out.
It'll be playing with Cheyenne or Shane live on stage.
Yeah, Shane. Shane. Here it is in Pittsburgh.
I know where this is. Yes. Whoa.
This was 82.
and then here is Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
House Call Nurses playing super late. That's probably already several years old at that point.
And Girls for Rent, too.
Yeah. Monroeville's like, we're not playing that sleaze. We're going to show you Night Shift and Arthur.
See, I knew I was going to kick myself for not cutting more out of this drive-in panel for us to talk about.
Wow.
I think I was just too excited that I found Then Came Ecstasy.
Yeah, that's amazing that played here.
There was a Texas Chainsaw reissue at this time that was in like 5 or 6 of the other drive-ins.
Mm. Wow. Wow. What is Crazed Vampire?
It's a Jean Rollin film.
Oh my God. Yeah, it is.
Is that Caged Virgins?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Or
great.
is that just Franco? I get them mixed up sometimes.
That's just
No, Caged Virgins is Jean Rollin.
Yeah.
Wow, look at that.
With all these titles that these movies had, I get a little confused about these ones.
And what's A Taste of Hell? That's a Harry Novak. What is that?
Yeah.
I'm not sure what that is, but look, they used the ad artwork from the Toy Box.
Toy Box. Right.
Behind Locked Doors. That's why I used to get these two movies mixed up. I think even when I posted about this movie, I was going to put AKA the Toy Box. But obviously it's not the same movie as the Toy Box.
What's Endless Terror? Yeah.
Yeah, what are these movies?
Well, if only we could consult a magic box that would tell us.
I'm looking now. And what year is this?
This would have been well, this was the early 80s, I
82
think.
maybe?
This ad's from 77. Sorry. It's from Akron, Ohio in 77. Requiem for a Vampire is Crazed Vampires.
That was a Jean Rollin.
So I was right. I'm so proud of myself.
Good.
Yeah.
And
what's Endless Terror?
Endless Terror. Aren't you happy that we're doing this live on the air?
Yeah.
Oh. Wild Riders.
Oh.
Richard Cantor, Alex Rocco, Elizabeth Knowles, and Sherry Bain. It looks like a biker film.
Yeah, it's from 71.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know. That's just is an alternate title for the 71 film called Wild Riders. This could actually really be anything. Endless Terror.
Yeah.
But maybe that. Let's look up A Taste of Hell.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Oh, it looks like a Western. Oh, no. The one I pulled up is a war film, so I don't... Oh, well, maybe.
Maybe.
Half corpse, all killer. No, it's got to be something else. Trapped with no escape. I think they just cut up a press book and took a whole bunch of shit from different movies and like I don't know.
Just whatever you get's what you get.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, so that's the end of our ad gallery for
Bill, I got some
Behind Locked
info
Doors.
on Wrestling Queen if people would like to know. I saw their
Yes.
excited.
Yes,
So
please.
it has the entire Vachon family, pre Luna being a wrestler, but Vivian, Paul, Maurice, they're all in it. There's tons of 70s era stars in it. Killer Kowalski, Andre's in it when he was still Andre, still Jean Ferrar, and even before he was Andre the Giant. Rene Goulet's in it, so it has some Toronto stuff. Don Leo Jonathan, Blackjack Mulligan, Jimmy Garvin, Terry Garvin. So this is a lot of it looks like it was filmed in Toronto. Bill Watts, Ivan Putski, Grizzly Smith, who's Jake Roberts' dad, Dick Murdoch, Jerry Brown, so Baron von Raschke. So this is very much of its time. It was shot in 1973. So that whole wrestling wasn't big until WWF thing is bullshit, just in case you were ever wondering. Wrestling was around a long time before that. But it's a pretty neat movie because a lot of the tapes from that era, because wrestling was on VHS, just video from studio. A lot of those tapes were just erased. So the fact that these matches from this time and these personalities from this time are in it and filmed, it's like a chance to actually see them in matches, and not a lot of that footage exists from 73. So it's definitely cool to see that. So Maple Leaf Gardens from Toronto is definitely in it.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
There's that weird tax shelter film Face Off, the Canadian hockey film that has footage of like Maple Leaf Garden back in the day and NHL footage that exists nowhere else.
What's his name? Right. From Black Christmas is the star of that.
Pat Hingle.
Pat Hingle, yeah.
That's a really good movie.
It's a really, there's actually a really nice Blu-ray of it too that came out in Canada.
Well, that's because it was a big deal in Canada, not in the United States. There was a Canon film too, Sam.
Do you mean Art Hindle?
Art Hindle. I'm sorry, not Hindle. Hindle.
Pat Hingle isn't in Black Christmas.
No, Art Hindle.
Pat Hingle's the commissioner in Batman.
Art Hindle is who you're thinking of.
Yeah, that's good though. It's because the string's kicking him right now. It
is kicking me for sure. But no, we're talking about goofy stuff from that era.
Yeah, that's where I encountered it through the world of canon.
Yeah, canon, sure. But this thing, as I said in the first segment, I saw it on a double feature VHS with, I believe, Frankenstein's Castle of Freaks, which blew my mind.
That's a good mix for this, a good extra feature to come on with this.
Those are nutty films. This one in particular is really nutty.
Don't forget, guys, to like and share the show while you're watching it, and
yes,
and it helps us out. And as well, you can subscribe to the Facebook page and to the YouTube page, and you'll get notified when new stuff goes up there. As well, come back for the third segment. I'm doing all the plugs now. For the third segment, we'll reveal next week's single movie that starts at 11 next Saturday, and we got some giveaways from our friends at Welgo USA and Haya, the Kung Fu channel. So, Bill, I'm super excited about this Kung Fu movie that came because it's about Mayan martial arts. Complete bullshit. I'm excited about it. That there's Aztec and Mayan martial arts.
Who knew?
Who knew? The creators of this movie. What is it called? Fist of the Condor. Oh, man. Condors don't even have fists. Everything about this movie is ridiculous. They have talons, but whatever. We'll go with them. And thanks for everybody coming out and hanging out on a Saturday night to watch these two Harry Novak produced movies. I'm super excited to watch these and share with you guys. And I'm glad everybody's been so open-minded. Also, don't forget, third segment, we'll probably talk about celebrity albums if you'd like. And come in with your psychological. This movie's going to make you feel a lot of stuff. So come in with like, how did you deal with it? Have you been in this situation? I've been to some weird parties before that I'm like, I might get killed at this party. There used to be if you're in pro wrestling, you go to a lot of clubs, so to speak. And there was one in Erie that literally looked like something out of Resident Evil, and I would not go inside. I would only sit outside. It was, and then I was finally talked into coming in, and it was, I should have never came in. It was horrible. It's like literally someone turned their living room into a strip club in the middle of a cornfield.
One time, I went through Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and I recorded with one of those little handheld tape recorders. Every time the name Jeffrey was said in Invasion of the Body Snatchers, it was like Donald Sutherland, Brooke Adams, everybody saying Jeffrey, Jeffrey, Jeffrey. And I called and I left it in Jeff Jordan's voicemail.
Oh.
Jeff Jordan, if you're still watching, I bet you remember that. All right. So, any more thoughts about our second film, Behind Locked Doors, before we go? Oh, I have to post the link.
Yeah.
Come up with something else.
As Bill get the links. Some folks are already tired. This is, come on, get your caffeine in. Let's.
Exactly.
This movie's short. This movie
it's another short one too.
Yeah.
It won't demand too much of your time or your brain cells. I mean, you can. Bill said before, we were talking, he's like, I like movies like this. They're just like, these are the kind of movies we show. And I like that it's like, we don't really try to put any like rationalization for them. Like, no, like, scholarly, like, hey, here's why this is happening. And it's a Jungian riddle, or I don't give a shit. I just like stupid shit in movies. I like when wild stuff happens.
And I appreciate you guys let me pick the stupid wild shit for tonight.
Yeah. I think it's pretty amazing that you picked the stupid wild shit. I mean,
well, I usually do though, because I picked the Kirlian Witness, and I don't know. I'm having fun tonight. I mean, this is almost as much fun as the Giallo show we did, where we did the Psychic and Four Flies on Grey Velvet.
Oh my god, that was fucking amazing!
That was one of the most fun nights I've ever had. And the Hawaiian Night, that was another show I was on.
Oh yeah,
that was so much fun. It's just great with you guys.
Bill, Psychic also played the CBS late movie.
Yes, it did.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
And Quentin Tarantino loves that movie.
Yeah. He likes the music from it an awful lot.
Yeah, sure does.
Yeah.
But Behind Locked Doors has interesting music too. It has that, like, I'm guessing they're library tracks from the late 60s. But if you get past the 15 minutes, you're in for a wild ride. So please do not turn off all of the barn dancing. It will get crazy.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are going to be like 10 minutes and they're going to go, I want to stone that guy. He picked this movie. Nothing's happening. They're just dancing among the
Stick around,
because
it's not going to, you're not going to have to deal with the law master from, what do you call it? What's the other movie, Bill, that we were talking about on Brainiacs that nobody likes?
I don't remember.
Uncle Spooky's movie.
Oh, Damnation Alley.
Yeah, it's not like that movie where you're like, God, I can't wait to get to the vehicle. This movie does get way better than that. So,
well, sure. God, you guys know that on the Video Archives podcast, Roger Avery said he loves Damnation Alley and would love to do a remake.
I heard that and I got really upset. I was like,
I did too. It's like, I thought Roger Avery had better taste than that.
Yeah. He also likes Rollerball way more than I think is humanly possible.
Yeah. Well, the other thing was, I used to correspond with him a lot when I was a moderator on a movie board back when CompuServe was up, like in the late 90s. And Roger was a really nice guy, very smart, just like you expect after listening to him on the Video Archives. But the one thing I could not give him due on was he said Sorcerer was better than The Wages of Fear. And
he loves Sorcerer, though.
I know, he's so wrong about that. And then, he had all kind of bad things happen to him in life. But he managed to pull himself out. Mm-hmm. He killed somebody when he was driving drunk, and he didn't die. But he's going great guns now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's doing well.
Yeah. And if anybody out there hasn't heard the Video Archives podcast with Tarantino and Avery and Avery's daughter, please do listen. It's brilliant.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's a lot of fun. Their Giallo two-parter with Eli Roth was probably among the best episodes they did in the first season.
Yeah.
All right, so I posted the link to Behind Locked Doors on the Groovy Doom Facebook page. It's kind of hard to find. If you want to find it yourself, just put in Behind Locked Doors 1968.
Mm-hmm.
That should lead you right to it, because there's a whole bunch of stuff named Behind Locked Doors, including a 1940s film. I think Tracy asked earlier if it was that movie. It's not. It's
No.
a totally groovy movie from the late 60s.
Although after you see this, you might wish we had filmed the 1948 movie.
Yeah.
But no, it's. I think the guy who runs the channel is Rare Cult Movies.
Yeah.
It's in his channel, which he's got some great stuff in there. Really good stuff.
I don't know. I wouldn't want to fight you about that, Vince, because I like Bloodstalkers too. So I don't know which one I would say was better,
Yeah.
honestly.
I don't know either. I like them both.
So go watch the movie, and we'll be back afterwards for the third step. Notorious. Thanks so much for coming tonight, AC Nicholas.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. Number 5.
All
Probably
right.
my last
I love
one
that you're
after-
counting. It's amazing. that
I'm
you're
probably
counting.
my last one after this movie.